I pushed open the tall glass doors of Al-Razi International School and told myself the same lie I repeated every morning. Just keep your head down, get through the day, and no one will notice you. The marble floor shined like a mirror, reflecting expensive shoes and confident laughter. Mine were old sneakers with cracked edges. Usman caught up beside me. You walk like you're entering court for sentencing, he said. I'm just trying not to step on anyone's designer ego, I muttered. He snorted. Bro, nobody's looking at you. I know, I said quietly. That's kind of the problem. He bumped my shoulder. Scholarship genius problems. I shrugged. Being the scholarship kid meant everyone knew why I was there, just not who I was. I spent most mornings moving between lockers like a ghost carrying textbooks. In class, Miss Farah called my name. Can you stay a moment after the bell? My stomach tightened. Teachers never called popular students after class. When everyone left, she folded her arms gently. Your test score was perfect again. Thank you, ma'am. You don't sound proud. I just studied, I said. She sighed. You hide yourself too much. Intelligence deserves a voice. I almost laughed. Voices cost confidence. I'm saving money. Her smile softened. One day someone will notice your effort. I nodded even though I didn't believe her. Outside, Aisha Malik stood near the window struggling with math notes. Sunlight caught her hair, and for a second the hallway noise faded. She noticed me staring. Oh hey, can you help me again? Of course, I said too quickly. We sat on the stairs. She leaned closer, tapping the page. This equation hates me. It doesn't hate you, I said. You just skipped 3 steps. She laughed softly. You always say that. Because it's always true. For 30 minutes I explained formulas while she listened carefully. Moments like this felt dangerous because they almost felt like friendship. You're really patient, she said. I shrugged. I like solving problems. Wish exams were conversations, she joked. I wanted to say talking to you already feels like passing something important, but I swallowed the thought. When she stood up, she smiled politely. Thanks, My chest tightened. She asked. Same guy as last week, I said with a small smile. All right. Sorry, she laughed. You know I'm terrible with names. It's fine. She waved and walked away before I could answer anything else. Usman appeared from nowhere. You're doing unpaid tutoring again? She needed help. She needs popularity, he said bluntly. Different subject. You don't know her. I know people, he replied. And people notice status first. I ignored him, but his words followed me through lunch. That's when Zion Khan walked into the cafeteria. Noise shifted instantly. Chairs scraped. Girls whispered. He moved like he owned gravity itself. Sports jacket, confident grin, friends orbiting him like satellites. Aisha lit up when she saw him. Zion, she called. He tossed a basketball into the air casually. You coming to practice later? Obviously, she said laughing. I sat 3 tables away pretending homework mattered more than watching her smile wider than I'd ever seen. Hassan dropped into the seat across from me. Well, if it isn't charity admission, he said loudly. I kept writing. He kicked my shoe under the table. Man, these survived a war or something? They still walk, I replied. His friends laughed. Maybe ask your rich girlfriend for new ones, he added. I don't have one. Yeah, he smirked. We noticed. Usman slammed his tray down beside me. Find another hobby, Hassan. Hassan raised his hands. Relax. I'm motivating him. Try motivating yourself towards silence, Usman shot back. They left eventually, but the laughter lingered. After school came the annual talent and achievement ceremony. Lights filled the auditorium. Parents applauded loudly for trophies that probably cost more than my rent. Miss Farah handed me certificates backstage. Academic Assistance Awards, she said. You helped half the class pass. That's enough recognition for me. Is it? She asked gently. On stage, students thanked friends and families. Then Aisha stepped forward holding a debate trophy. My biggest inspiration, she said into the microphone, smiling toward the front row, is Zion Khan. He told me confidence matters more than fear. Applause exploded. Zion stood, bowing dramatically. I waited. Maybe she would mention study help. Maybe she remembered. And everyone else who supported me, she added quickly before stepping down. Backstage she nearly bumped into me. Oh hi, she said. Congratulations. Thanks. Sorry, what was your name again? Something inside me went very still. I told myself it didn't hurt. It's okay, I said. I'm just someone who studies a lot. She smiled politely and hurried toward Zion. Usman watched from beside me. You good? Yeah. You don't look good. I said I'm fine. But as applause echoed through the hall, I realized something quietly cracking inside my chest. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just enough to change the sound of my own heartbeat forever. Aisha found me in the library 2 days before the interschool presentation competition. I was hiding behind stacks of economics books when she dropped into the chair across from me, breathing fast. Please tell me you're free, she said. I usually am, I replied. She pushed papers toward me. I'm completely stuck. My speech sounds boring and the judges are brutal this year. You already write well, I said. She shook her head. No, I sound nervous. Zion says confidence matters more than content, but I need both. You're good at this stuff. Hearing my name spoken with need felt dangerous. You want help? I asked carefully. I really do, she said softly. Please. So I stayed after school every day that week. We sat on empty stairs, cafeteria corners, even outside the science lab. This line feels fake, I told her one evening. Then fix it, she laughed. I can't fix honesty. She leaned closer. Then help me find honest words. I rewrote transitions, practiced timing, and coached her breathing. Pause here, I said during rehearsal. Why? So people listen instead of waiting. She repeated the line again, stronger this time. Her smile lit up. That sounded good, didn't it? It sounded like you. For a moment she looked at me differently. Thank you, she whispered. I walked home that night believing something had finally changed. Competition day arrived loud and bright. Usman adjusted my collar backstage. You look like you're attending your own wedding. I'm just nervous for her. You're nervous for disappointment, he corrected. She appreciates it. He raised an eyebrow. Does she know your last name yet? I ignored him. When Aisha stepped onto the stage, she looked confident. Every pause landed perfectly. Every argument flowed exactly how we practiced. Applause filled the hall. She won first place. Backstage she hugged everyone. When she reached me she squeezed my arm quickly. We did it. My chest warmed. You did. Come to the celebration tonight, she said. Everyone's going. I don't really. Please, she insisted. You should be there. Hope is dangerous when you've lived without it. The party happened at a rooftop cafe owned by one of Zion's friends. Music echoed across glass walls. Expensive perfume mixed with laughter. I almost turned back at the entrance. Usman texted me, don't embarrass yourself. Too late. Inside, Zion stood surrounded by classmates. Aisha, someone shouted. Speech queen. She laughed, glowing under lights. I waited near the drinks table until she noticed me. Oh hey, she said casually. Congratulations again. Thanks. Before I could say anything else, Hassan appeared. Well, look who showed up, he said loudly. Scholarship hero. Zion glanced at me. You're in our class, right? I nodded. Yeah. Hassan grabbed my sleeve. Bro came dressed for a job interview. Laughter followed. It's just a shirt, I said. Vintage poverty collection, Hassan added. Someone snickered. I looked at Aisha, expecting her to stop it. Instead she laughed lightly. Relax, she said. They're joking. Zion smirked. So what's your connection here? Before I could answer, Hassan said, he thinks he helped her win. Oh really? Zion asked. My voice felt small. I just practiced with her. Zion turned toward Aisha. You needed tutoring? For a second she hesitated. Nita stood beside her, watching silently. Then Aisha laughed again. I don't even remember asking him, she said. The music kept playing. But inside my head everything went quiet. Hassan slapped the table. See? Bro imagined a whole love story. People laughed harder. My hands trembled. I helped every evening, I said quietly. Zion shrugged. Maybe you misunderstood kindness. Aisha avoided my eyes. I didn't want rumors, she added quickly. People already talk too much. Each word landed heavier than the last. I nodded because dignity sometimes looks like silence. I should go, I said. No one stopped me. Outside, cold air hit my face. My phone buzzed. Usman called. How bad? Funny enough to deserve applause, I said. Told you. I know. The next morning school felt different. Whispers followed me. Rejected him publicly. He confessed. Poor guy thought she liked him. Hassan walked beside me in the hallway. Romeo, he shouted. Write her another speech. Students laughed openly. Principal Rahman called me into his office later. I've heard unfortunate rumors, he said calmly. They aren't true. Perception matters more than truth, he replied. Avoid situations that damage the school's reputation. So I'm the problem? I'm asking you to be mature. Outside his office, Nita stopped me. I'm sorry, she said quietly. You knew, I replied. She looked down. Things get complicated around popularity. That sounds comfortable. She had no answer. That evening my mother coughed badly while cooking. You're home early, she said weakly. Just tired. Her hand trembled against the counter. We'll visit a doctor tomorrow, I said. We can't afford unnecessary visits. Fear settled heavily inside me. 2 days later she collapsed. Hospital bills replaced textbooks. I stopped attending classes and took delivery jobs instead. Usman met me at the campus gate when I came to submit leave papers. You'll come back? He asked. Maybe. Aisha stood far away laughing with friends. She didn't notice me leaving. I looked at the school one last time. I kept trying to matter here, I whispered. Usman frowned. What now? I picked up my bag. Now, I said quietly, I will never beg to be seen again. I learned quickly that survival doesn't give you time to feel embarrassed. Take the night shift? The warehouse supervisor asked, barely looking at me. I'll take anything, I replied. You're still in school? Not right now. He shrugged. Boxes don't care about education. Neither did rent. My mornings started at hospitals, afternoons delivering packages, and nights stacking crates until my hands burned. Every time I checked my phone, hospital bills stared back like threats. My mother tried to smile through the pain. You look thinner, she said one evening as I helped her sit up. I'm getting stronger, I joked. You were always a bad liar. I laughed weakly. You should go back to school, she added. I will. When? Soon. She touched my wrist gently. Don't pause your life because of me. I'm not pausing, I said. I'm upgrading priorities. Her coughing answered instead of words. Doctor spoke softly outside the room. Medication is expensive, one said. I'll manage, I told him. He looked doubtful. I stopped sleeping after that. One rainy night she grabbed my sleeve suddenly. Sit, she whispered. I'm here. If something happens. Nothing will happen. Listen, she insisted. Kindness is not weakness. Don't let the world convince you otherwise. My throat tightened. You're going to tell me this yourself when you get better. She smiled faintly. She didn't get better. The hospital monitor made a flat sound I still hear sometimes when rooms grow too quiet. I remember signing papers without understanding them. I remember strangers offering sympathy. Mostly, I remember silence when I returned home alone. Usman sat beside me during the funeral. You don't have to be strong today, he said. I don't know how to stop. You lost everything. I stared at the ground. Not everything. What's left? Responsibility, I answered. Work became easier than grief. A month later I walked into a greasy garage asking for employment. An old man looked up from under a truck. You lost? He asked. I'm looking for work. You know engines? I know how to learn. He wiped oil from his hands. Confidence without skill is expensive. I'll work cheap. He laughed loudly. Honesty. Rare product. I'm serious. He studied me for a long moment. Name? I told him. I'm Kareem, he said. You break tools, you pay. Fair. Start sweeping. That was my interview. Days passed with oil stains and aching muscles. Wrong wrench, he barked once. They looked the same. So do mistakes until they cost money, he replied. I learned quickly. One evening he tossed keys toward me. Fix the generator. I've never done that alone. Good, he said. Fear makes attention sharper. When it finally started humming, pride surprised me. You didn't celebrate, he noticed. I'm not used to winning. Then change habits, he said. He spoke like every sentence carried weight. During lunch breaks he asked strange questions. What do you want long term? Stability. That's survival, he corrected. Not ambition. I don't think ambition likes me. Ambition doesn't care about feelings. A girl walked into the garage one afternoon holding files. You forgot invoices again, she told him. I remember important things, Kareem replied. She noticed me. New employee? Temporary, I said. She extended her hand. Sir. Accounting student. Part-time rescuer of chaos. I shook it carefully. You look exhausted, she added. That's my personality. She smiled slightly. Later she watched me calculate repair costs manually. You're fast with numbers, she said. I used to study. Used to. Life changed syllabus. She didn't ask more. Instead she brought coffee the next day. Payment for fixing my scooter, she said. I didn't charge you. Exactly, she replied. Bad business habit. Kareem overheard. Listen to her, he said. Kind workers stay poor. I don't want to become cruel. Cruelty isn't required, he said. Value is. At night I borrowed old laptops and watched business lectures online. Sarah sometimes stayed late organizing receipts. You never rest? She asked. Rest feels dangerous. Why? If I stop moving, I start remembering. She nodded like she understood. Scrolling social media once, I saw Aisha smiling beside university buildings. Zion stood next to her, confident as ever. Luxury cars. Bright parties. Perfect lives. Sarah noticed my expression. Someone important? She asked gently. Someone who forgot me. That hurts. It used to. What now? I closed the app slowly. They forgot me completely, I said. But I never forgot how small they made me feel. She didn't offer pity. Good, she said instead. Pain is expensive fuel. Use it wisely. Months turned into years. One evening Kareem called me into his office. You count profits better than me, he said. I just organize numbers. You organize survival. He pushed documents across the table. A logistics startup is failing, he continued. Bad management. Good potential. Why show me? Because I'm tired, he said. And you're hungry. I frowned. I don't understand. I want you as partner. I laughed nervously. I fix engines. You fix problems, he corrected. That's different. No, he said firmly. That's business. My hands shook slightly. This is real. He leaned back. Son, he said quietly, life already took everything from you. Now take something back. Years passed so quietly that one morning I realized I no longer recognized the boy who used to apologize for existing. You didn't go home again? Sarah asked, dropping a coffee beside my laptop. I did, I said. Technically. I slept 4 hours. That's not sleep. That's buffering. I smiled faintly without looking away from delivery maps glowing on the screen. The logistics office still smelled like dust and ambition. Broken chairs, cheap desks, and unpaid electricity bills had been our starting decor. Route 7 keeps failing, I muttered. Drivers complain traffic is impossible, she said. Traffic isn't impossible, I replied. Planning is. Sarah leaned over my shoulder. You've been staring at lines for 6 hours. I think I solved it. That sentence scares me every time. I dragged digital routes across the map. If we stagger departures instead of stacking them, I explained, fuel drops 15%. She blinked. You're guessing. I calculated. You always calculate. Kareem walked in carrying tea. If numbers explode again, I retire. They won't, I said. He squinted at the screen. You changed the entire system? Yes. Risky. So was hiring me, I replied. He laughed loudly. Fair answer. 3 months later, profits doubled. Drivers stopped quitting. Clients started calling instead of ignoring us. One evening Sarah burst into my office waving reports. We just beat 2 national companies in delivery time. I leaned back slowly. Say that again. She grinned. You turned chaos into math. I remembered sweeping floors years ago. Math saved me first, I said quietly. Success didn't arrive dramatically. It came through exhaustion. Late nights arguing with suppliers. Missed holidays. Moments staring at empty bank accounts wondering if failure was finally coming. Once I told Kareem, maybe we expanded too fast. He shook his head. Fear visits before growth. Offer tea, don't give it a bed. Sarah became operations manager without announcement. You already run everything, I told her. She crossed her arms. Promotion without salary increase? You negotiated that fast? I learned from watching you. Confidence crept into my voice over time. Meetings stopped frightening me. I stopped lowering my eyes. People waited for my decisions. Then Bilal arrived. Expensive suit. Expensive smile. I invest in potential, he said during our first meeting. We prefer stability, I replied. Stability is slow money, he answered. Sarah frowned beside me. Kareem whispered later, I don't trust men who smell richer than results. But expansion required capital. Bilal signed anyway. Within weeks pressure followed. "You're underpricing contracts," he told me sharply. "We build loyalty first. Loyalty doesn't multiply profit. Neither does greed when clients leave." He smiled thinly. "You'll learn." After he left, Sarah shut the door. "He scares me." "He motivates caution," I said. "You didn't used to talk like that." "Like what?" "Like someone impossible to shake." I thought about it. Maybe survival had sanded away hesitation. One afternoon news alerts flashed across my phone. Business scandal. Debt investigations. Collapsed holdings. The headline froze me. Zion Khan Group faces bankruptcy allegations. Sarah noticed my silence. "You okay?" "Just reading." "Big story?" "Someone famous fell." I scrolled through articles. Luxury properties seized. Investors suing. Public disappearance. No interviews. No parties. No smiling photographs. Just collapse. Strangely, I felt nothing at first. Later that night alone in the office, memory returned anyway. Laughter. Cheap shirt. I don't even remember asking him. I closed the phone. "Does karma work overtime?" I murmured. Weeks later opportunity knocked disguised as paperwork. Sarah entered carrying acquisition files. "That transportation firm we discussed?" she said. "The failing one?" "Yes. Bankruptcy auction next month." Numbers. Messy but recoverable. I flipped pages slowly. Fleet damage. Late salaries. Mismanaged routes. "It's salvageable," I said. "If someone rebuilds culture. That someone would be us." She hesitated. "There's something else." That tone usually costs money. She slid another folder forward casually. "The current operations manager begging for employment used to be some famous school athlete." I barely listened at first. Athletes came and went. "Desperate applicants aren't unusual," I said. "Maybe," she replied softly. I opened the file. Resume. Employment gaps. Debt notices. A tired photograph attached. My fingers froze. The name sat quietly at the top. Zion Khan. The room felt smaller. Sarah noticed immediately. "You know him?" I swallowed. "School." "That explains your face." I stared at the photo longer. Gone was effortless arrogance. Dark circles replaced confidence. Suit replaced jersey. Eyes older than they should have been. "He's requesting any managerial position," she added carefully. I almost laughed. Not loudly. Just disbelief escaping slowly. The boy who never noticed me now waited in unemployment lines. Sarah asked gently, "Do you want me to reject the file?" I closed it. "No." "Are you sure?" "Yes." "Personal reasons?" I stood and walked toward the window overlooking rows of delivery trucks carrying our logo. Once I had begged to matter. Now contracts waited for my signature. Power had shifted so quietly I barely noticed when it happened. My hands trembled anyway. Not from anger. From realization. Life circles back when you stop chasing it. I whispered to myself before turning around. Life has a strange sense of humor. The morning Zion Khan's interview was scheduled. I arrived earlier than usual. Sarah noticed immediately. "You've reorganized the conference room twice." "I like symmetry," I said. "You hate symmetry," she replied. "You like control." I didn't answer. She leaned against the door. "You can cancel this." "No." "Because of pride?" "Because unfinished chapters bother me." She studied me carefully. "I'll stay nearby." "Thank you." At exactly 10, the receptionist called through the intercom. "Your interview candidate has arrived." My heartbeat slowed instead of racing. "Send him in." The door opened quietly. For a moment I didn't recognize him either. The confident athlete from school existed only in memory. The man standing in front of me looked thinner. His suit fit poorly. Dark circles rested under tired eyes. He nodded politely. "Good morning." "Good morning," I replied. He sat without looking closely at me, already opening his folder. "I appreciate the opportunity," he said. "I know my recent employment history isn't ideal." His voice carried restraint, like pride held together with effort. "What happened?" I asked calmly. "Market collapse," he answered quickly. "Family complications." Carefully chosen lies. I let silence stretch. He finally looked up. Recognition didn't arrive instantly. His eyes narrowed slightly, then widened. The air changed. "You," he said slowly. "Yes." "You work here." I folded my hands on the table. "I built this." Silence swallowed the room. He leaned back as if the chair suddenly moved. I didn't realize, he murmured. That happens sometimes. He swallowed hard. Memories passed between us without needing words. Cheap shirt. Laughter. A rooftop party. He cleared his throat. Congratulations. Thank you. Another long pause followed. I assume you know my background, he said finally. I read the file. His jaw tightened. Then you know I need this job. Why? He almost smiled bitterly. Because creditors don't accept nostalgia. What happened to your friends? I asked quietly. They disappeared when money did. Honesty sounded heavy coming from him. My father's company collapsed, he added. Investigations froze everything. And university investors? His hands froze slightly. You've done research. I prefer facts. He stared at the table. I made bad decisions, he admitted. Explain. Pressure filled the room. Family expectations, he said slowly. We needed fast returns. I manipulated investment reports. That's fraud. Yes. Why confess? Because pretending hasn't worked so far. I leaned back. Why should I trust you with responsibility? He hesitated. Because losing everything teaches faster than success. His voice cracked slightly at the end. I almost believed him. Before I could respond, Sarah knocked softly and entered. Sorry, she said. Client meeting arrived early. Schedule later, I replied. They insisted. Behind her stood someone holding files. For a second my brain refused recognition. Then memory caught up. Aisha Malik froze in the doorway. Her eyes widened instantly. You, she whispered. Sarah looked confused between us. You know each other? She asked. Aisha stepped forward slowly. I didn't know this was your company. I didn't know you were visiting, I answered. She looked different. Less confident. Careful. Zion stood abruptly. You know him too? He asked her. Her silence answered. Sarah cleared her throat awkwardly. I'll give you privacy. When the door closed, tension returned heavier than before. Aisha spoke first. I heard your name from reception, she said quietly. I thought it was coincidence. It isn't. She laughed nervously. You look different. So do you. Her eyes filled slightly before she looked away. Zion frowned. What's happening? She ignored him. I owe you an apology, she said. For which year? Her shoulders dropped. I knew you helped my speech, she admitted. The words landed harder than insults ever had. You said you didn't remember. I was scared, she whispered. Popularity mattered too much. Zion shifted uncomfortably. That party, she continued. I didn't want rumors linking us. So humiliation felt safer, I said. Tears formed in her eyes. I regret it every day. I felt strangely calm. And you? I asked Zion. He exhaled slowly. I wasn't kind either. That's generous wording. He didn't argue. Aisha continued softly. University wasn't what I expected. He became distant. Zion looked ashamed. I chased success, he admitted. Lost people instead. She felt alone, I said quietly. She deserved better, he answered. Her voice trembled. When his scandal started, everyone blamed me too. And now? I asked. I work, she said simply. Real work. Silence returned again. Forgiveness waited somewhere between anger and exhaustion. Sarah knocked once more. Decision? She asked through the door. I looked at Zion. Pride stripped away. Fear carefully hidden. Time had already punished him more than revenge ever could. Why should I hire you? I asked one last time. He met my eyes directly. Because I won't waste another chance. I believed that answer more than apologies. I signed the approval form slowly. You start Monday, I said. He blinked. You're serious? Yes. Why? I stood up. Not revenge, I replied quietly. I just want to see what time has already done to us. Zion's first week felt like watching a storm learn patience. Sarah walked into my office holding reports. Your famous athlete arrived before sunrise again. He likes empty parking lots, I said. He reorganized 3 driver schedules without being asked. That sounds useful. She lowered her voice. He also apologized to a delivery worker for shouting. I almost smiled. Miracles happen quietly. Later that evening I found him alone in the warehouse checking damaged crates. You don't have to stay this late, I said. He straightened immediately. I made routing errors this morning. They were minor. They delayed people, he replied. The answer surprised me. We sat on stacked boxes while rain tapped against metal roofing. I used to think leadership meant being admired, he said suddenly. What changed? Consequences, he answered. I waited. In university everyone clapped, he continued. Money, parties, influence. I confused noise with respect. And now? He exhaled slowly. I thought success meant people clapping for me. Now I just want peace. His honesty sounded heavier than regret. You're learning, I said. Because failure forced me, he admitted. Work reshaped him slowly. He listened more. Argued less. Drivers started greeting him first. One afternoon Sarah whispered, he reminds me of you years ago. That's dangerous praise. It's accurate. Meanwhile Aisha began visiting often as her company expanded contracts with us. One evening she waited near my desk holding something carefully wrapped. Do you have a minute? She asked. Depends, I replied gently. She placed an old notebook in front of me. I recognized the worn edges instantly. My handwriting filled the pages. Speech drafts. Practice notes. Encouragement lines written for someone who once forgot my name. I found it while moving apartments, she said quietly. I kept it all these years. You said you didn't remember. I lied, she admitted. I read these whenever I felt lost. Silence stretched between us. I was young, she continued. Popularity felt like survival. It often does at that age. She smiled sadly. You deserved better. I closed the notebook slowly. I wanted revenge once, I admitted. Do you still? I searched for anger and found exhaustion instead. No, I said honestly. Life already answered louder than I ever could. Her eyes softened. Can we start again? She asked. Before I could respond, alarms from the finance department echoed through the office. Sarah burst in. Emergency meeting. Now. Conference screens displayed frozen accounts. Bilal stood near the table looking irritated rather than surprised. What happened? I asked. Temporary liquidity adjustment, he said smoothly. That's not an explanation. Sarah projected documents. Unauthorized transfers, she said. Multiple shell companies. Bilal sighed dramatically. Aggressive investment strategy. You moved company funds without approval, I replied. For growth. For control, Sarah snapped. He smiled thinly. Majority investors may agree with me. Realization hit. Hostile takeover. You planned this, I said. Business rewards ambition, he answered calmly. Before I could respond, the door opened. Zion stepped inside carrying files. I need to speak, he said. This is executive discussion, Bilal interrupted. It involves fraud, Zion replied. The room froze. He placed documents on the table. These accounts linked directly to Bilal's private holdings, he continued. Inflated vendor contracts. Fake logistics expenses. Bilal laughed loudly. You expect them to trust a disgraced manager? Zion didn't flinch. I already submitted copies to regulatory auditors, he said. Sarah gasped softly. You risked legal exposure? I asked quietly. Yes. Why? He looked at me directly. Because this company gave me dignity when I had none. Bilal's confidence cracked. You're destroying negotiations, he snapped. No, Zion answered calmly. I'm ending theft. Security escorted Bilal out minutes later. The room remained silent long after. Sarah finally whispered, he just saved us. I nodded slowly. Later that evening the entire staff gathered to address rumors. Questions filled the air. Zion stepped forward before I could speak. The company is stable, he announced firmly. Our leadership handled everything. Someone asked who made the final call. He turned toward me. Without hesitation he said, ask the boss. The word echoed louder than applause ever had. For a second I saw the rooftop party again. Cheap shirt. Laughter. Now respect replaced memory. After everyone left, Aisha waited near the window. You chose mercy, she said softly. I chose peace. She took a breath. I meant what I asked earlier. I know. Can we try again? I thought about notebooks, hospital rooms, sleepless nights, and the boy who once begged to be noticed. I don't hate you, I said gently. But I finally learned how to choose myself. Tears filled her eyes, yet she nodded. That sounds like happiness, she whispered. Months later I stood outside my old school gates. Students laughed exactly the same way we once had. Usman called through my phone. You seriously visited nostalgia alone? Someone had to check if ghosts still lived here. And I watched sunlight fall across familiar walls. They moved on, I said. What about you? I smiled quietly. The greatest revenge, I answered, was never becoming like the people who hurt me. For the first time in years, bitterness felt unnecessary. Peace finally knew my name.
If this story stayed with you, subscribe now for the next powerful story.